For more than 100 years nationally and 50 years in Hampden County, Big Brothers Big Sisters has been helping children's lives by matching them with caring adults to guide them on a path to success. Connecting Point's Veronica Garcia sat down with Executive Director and a mentor to find out more.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of Hampden County provides one-to-one mentoring services. So everything that we do is we're looking for adult volunteers to provide a positive role model to a child in need. And so we don't ask them to be teachers, therapists, counselors, anything like that. We just want them to have fun and be that special person in someone's life.
When I was young, I was a little. I got matched with my big when I was around 10 years old. And now, over 25 years later, he and I are still close. We still talk regularly. I still visit him regularly. And what's become clear to me is how life-changing that's been for me. I am very much like my big brother. Even though we only hung out a few hours a week or a couple times a month, because that was my male role model, I became like him. He was a reader. I became studious. He was a runner. I became an athlete. And so seeing what that did for me and ultimately how that carried forward through the rest of my life, both in my habits and knowing I had someone that was always there for me, I can't imagine having a better influence for me, both as a mentor, academically, athletically, and just in every aspect of life and becoming a better person.
And he gave a lot of credit to Big Brothers Big Sisters for making that happen, but ultimately it really came down to him and his guardian as well to be open and receptive to that relationship. And so when he was paired up with his big brother, he was open and ready. And so he was able to see all kinds of different ways, things that he had never experienced before. And that's really ultimately what we're providing with these children, is just options, opportunities, and a different way of looking at things. The process to become a volunteer is very simple. You can go online to our website, or you could just call the office. And you would speak to one of our staff members who would be able to talk to you a little bit about the program, get an idea of what you're looking for in experience. It is one-to-one, and sometimes people would feel like maybe they don't have the time to do that, or they don't have the resources to do that. So we would talk to you a little bit more about what type of opportunity that you would like to have, and then really just go through a small intake process with you.
Because I'm busy, I need to find the time to do things that ground me and remind me of what's important. It's almost as I can't not be a big brother and still do all the things I do, because my relationship with my little is one of the most fulfilling things I do, and it keeps me sustained and helps me be more excited and positive about all aspects of my life. What's amazing to me about how one unlocks the potential in a little, when I think back to how my big brother did that with me, he didn't do it intentionally. He didn't say something specific or do something specific. He was just there and someone I could watch and learn from. I joke that now he has 3 adult children, and he and I met before he and his wife met. And me and his son are a lot alike. And why? Because we learned from his behaviors. We both grew up and became very similar to him. So what that's taught me is there's nothing specific to do other than be a role model and someone that the child can look up to and try to follow.
Typically, to be a big brother, big sister, we ask people to be at least 18 years old, but the maximum is no limit. We've had people as young as 80 plus. But we do have some after-school programming as well, where high school students are involved and they're mentoring some middle school and elementary school students. So we're able to have some flexibility. If there are people out there who want to volunteer in a one-to-one situation, we're usually able to accommodate that. More now than ever, there are a lot of kids out there that need us. There are a lot of kids who are growing up in single-parent homes. And to be quite frank, even if they have both of their parents in their life or guardians in their life, all kids could really use a role model. And so we're starting within the last couple of months our rebrand nationally, and we really want to just talk and focus on the fact that there are a lot of kids out there that need us, and we want to be a little bit more bolder about that.
My advice is just do it. I think you have nothing to lose. It only brought positive in my life, an incredible positive with no downside. It made me a far better person and helped me accomplish far more in my life. I can't imagine what my life would have been like without a big brother. So I would say just do it. And for older people that are debating whether to do with a little, again, one of the most fulfilling things I've done, and it's been so powerful and grounding that it's allowed me to do so much else in my life.